Hey everybody, welcome back to my tiny garage. On my bench tonight we have a Holzfforma chainsaw. If you're not very familiar with them, they are a Chinese knockoff saw. They like to mimic the brands, the most popular brands such as Husqvarna and Stihl. This one here is a Husqvarna clone. This is a G372XP, which in the Husqvarna terms would be a 372XP saw. A lot of the parts are supposed to be interchangeable. I really haven't worked on them very much, so this is kind of a first for me as far as exactly parts and things like that. Little backstory on this saw: this was bought brand new probably about 2 years ago. This thing has just never run very well since brand new. This belongs to a good friend of mine, and I have fought with this saw quite many times. It just doesn't ever seem to want to run well or right. Definitely seems to be a carburetor issue. I have yet to kind of figure it out and find out what exactly the problem is. So to bring us back up to speed here today for this video, this saw was running very well last summer, a few months ago, and it was being used to drop a tree. The tree decided that it was going to go the wrong direction, as trees sometimes do, and this saw was dropped from about waist height onto the ground. It was running great up until that point. There was no issues with it. It was running fantastic, and ever since it was dropped, it now does not really want to run right again. What could it be? I really have no idea. Hopefully nothing major. I can't imagine that it would be anything major, but I have really no idea. So this is going to be a little bit of a troubleshooting video to try to figure out what exactly is wrong with this. Try to just come up with some kind of a solution to get this thing to run well, and kind of go from there. So let's hop on in and see if we can't get started on this. I'm going to go ahead and take the bar off. That'll make it a lot easier to work on. I'm not entirely sure where my scrunch wrench went, but I should probably get a few more of them. They always seem to walk off when you need them most. This is a 71cc saw with a 24-inch bar on it. Some back guard chain tension here. Things a little bit easier on ourselves. Alright, I'll slide that off to the side for the time being. Move all this stuff off to the side, give us a little bit more space to work. Right off, everything looks good. The sprocket looks good. Nothing sticking out at me as being very wrong. Let's see if we got any fuel in here. Going to assume so, the way that looks. Brush this off so we don't get any dirt down in there. That's a real pain. Okay, what do we got? Do have some fuel. Looks okay overall, probably about a half a tank. Alright, let's pop our air cover off of here and just see what's underneath of that and see how that looks. Alright, nothing of immediate note. Air filter is tight, everything's tight. Everything seems good there. Just leave the cover off here for now. It's tight up on there. Spark plug seems tight. Let's give it a whip over here. See if we can get this saw to do anything. Turn our switch on. This does have a decompression lever right there, so So go ahead and push that in. Throttle, give it some choke. Alright, see if we can get this thing to spin here. Compression sounds good. What do we got over here going on? Looks like our adjustment boot came off. Okay, set that aside for the time being. Let's give this another shot here. Not happy. It's not happy. Not even enough to push our compression valve out. Take off our air filter. See what we got behind there. Looking at our air filter, looks pretty good. Nothing clogged that I can see. Set that aside. Alright, there's our O-ring. That's there, so we'll set that aside. Choke is functioning. Throttle is functioning. Choke it up. Still on there. Let's give it another try here. Not having it. Not a happy saw. Let's do my favorite trick in the book here. Let's open up the fuel tank. I'm gonna grab just a little bit of fuel out of it into my squeeze bottle. What happens if we dribble a little of this down into the intake? Not much, I don't want to flood it. Just a little bit. Work that down in there. Throw our choke on, decompression. Here we go. Okay, well, she took off. Acted like it was a little bit on the lean side. See if we can't get that restarted again on choke. Decompression in. Yeah, it's definitely on the lean side. Let's see, since it has the automatic idle when you do the choke, let's see if I can get it off, see if it'll idle. Let's see if it'll idle here. Oh, decompression valve. Now it's not happy at all. Oh, there it went. Well, let's start. Definitely seems to be a fuel problem. We can get it to fire off with fuel down into it, but then it doesn't want to stay running after that. Not sure if it's an adjustment issue or if it's actually a carburetor issue. Let's dribble a little bit more fuel down in there. And I'm going to attempt to get this to stay running a little longer, if possible. See what we can make happen. Okay, so it is running lean, it's running out of fuel. Let's go ahead and open up this low side. Another half a turn. Give it a little bit more fuel there. Make things a little bit easier. Down we go. Decompression. Still no idle. Alright, let's bring our low end out one more turn. See if we can get anything to happen here. Alright, did that make any difference? Nope. Definitely seem to have a fuel issue, a fuel related issue. Question is it a fuel to line issue? So is it not getting fuel to the carburetor? Like, is it a clogged line or a filter? Or is it a problem within the internal carburetor itself? Let's see if we can't narrow this down a little bit. They don't give you much to work with there. Alright, well there's our filter. I can see it. It is clear. It is not clogged that I can see. Based on how many issues I've had with this thing, I'm going to say that it is not a fuel delivery issue. I did have it running very well. It was sawing very well till it wasn't. So my biggest probability at this point is most likely the carburetor. I don't have a whole lot of faith in that, so I'm thinking to maybe start there. I'd like to at least tear into it, kind of see what it is. I'm not entirely sure what the Husqvarna 372 takes. If it does take a wheelbarrow, I might see if I can just get one of them, slap it on, see if it makes any difference. If nothing else, I would like to go through this carburetor and at least make sure it's adjusted right. So let's go ahead and see if we can't pull this carburetor out of here and get a better look at it and kind of go from there and just see what's going on. We do end up getting a wheelbarrow carburetor or whatever it is that's on here from Husqvarna anyway. I don't think the owner will be unhappy about that, which we may end up just doing that as an upgrade anyway, to be honest. This thing, since new, has gotten the absolute worst fuel economy. No matter how much tuning I did, no matter how much fine tuning I did, it just didn't matter. This thing would suck the fuel like there was no more fuel to be had in the world. There we go. Boy, that was a process. Alright, set that aside. We can gently push these off of there without tearing them up. Number one. Number two. There we go. Going down and into our cylinder. There Everything looks good. Nothing seems scored up. That is all clear. Nothing in the way. So I'm going to say that our best place to start is probably here with this carburetor. Let's go over to the workbench, see if we can't get this thing apart, see what we see in there. Let's get this side opened up. See what it looks like back here. Go. Dirt. I see dirt in here. Much dirt. Yeah. This is very dirty. Very, very dirty. Let's get this side opened up. Diaphragm's not hard. Don't see any real dirt over here. Everything looks intact. I have a metering gauge for wall barrel. I don't know which one to use. Nothing here starts with anything like that. There's an MDC. I'm just gonna wing it here for a minute. By that it seems adjusted right. I don't know if I'm really using the right one, so that's not really a good valid test. I just wanted to see if it was down below or not. Well, as best as I can tell, right off, first things that catch my eye, we have dirt in our valve section over here. We have a screen with dirt in it, and just dirty parts all around. So at a very bare minimum, we're going to need a rebuild kit. So let me kind of do some research here and see what we're looking at. Kind of price an actual wall barrel carburetor versus a seal kit for this. Maybe I'll end up getting both and start with a seal kit for this carburetor and just see if it does anything. Yeah, let me kind of dig into this here a little bit, see what I can figure out, and we will resume from there. It has been a few days now, probably only a few seconds for you guys, but it's been a few days here trying to figure out what kind of parts we're looking at. So looking at the diagram on a Husqvarna 372, they are calling for a wall barrel carburetor HD-12B on the 372 Husqvarna variation. So what I did is I went ahead and grabbed a carburetor kit from wall barrel to be able to rebuild that carburetor. So this should rebuild the OEM carburetor for this saw. However, I did look at getting a actual Husqvarna wheelbarrow carburetor, and they wanted well over $100 for that, so that just wasn't going to happen. But I did decide to go with an aftermarket carburetor again. I want to give this a try. I think I'm going to give this a try first. It looks identical. I see no real differences with it at all that I can see. Since I've already had problems with that OEM carburetor to begin with, I'm thinking about just switching to a different carburetor right off the bat. Don't even try to rebuild the other one. It's given me issues ever since brand new. For the price of a seal kit, I'm more tempted to try this carburetor out, see what we come up with. So let's go ahead and throw this on. There we go. Everything seems to operate. Everything is hooked back up. Everything is tight. All looks good. Our high idle over here on the side, when you pull the choke out, works. That works. We're going to leave everything at factory settings and just see if it'll start like this. Let's give it a shot. See what happens. We have not touched our fuel from last time. Everything should be the exact same. Nothing else has really changed. So let's make sure we're on. Give it some choke, decompression. Just see what happens here. Give it just a little bit of fuel, because I'm sure it has to siphon it up the line. So we'll just start it out with a little bit of fuel. That'll probably help us out here a little bit. Alright, we had some progress. Try again. Let's give it half choke, see if that makes any difference. Still was not a happy saw. Let's go ahead and bump our idle up. So what do we got the low set at right now? Half turn, and that's at about a turn and a quarter. There's half turn, one. Let's just bump that out to like right there. Try a little bit more fuel down it. My goodness. And it instantly wants to die. After a bunch more pulling, I was able to get it to restart on choke. And it will try to run a little bit. Then it just seems like it wants to run out of fuel and then dies. So we're still having some type of a fuel related issue. Let's back out this low jet even more. See if that makes any difference at all. So as soon as it gets running, it just wants to die out. No more ifs, ands, or buts. It just dies. So let's check into our fuel line a little bit better and just verify that it is not clogged. It could very well be a fuel pickup issue. I'm sure you all can't see it down in there, but that pickup tube is jammed onto the side. Certainly is not very long at all. Just to rule that out, let's put some more gas in it. Alright, we got a full tank now. Let's put things back together and see if that made any difference. I noticed that fuel pickup tube is really short. So when I turn it over with half a tank in it like it had, only not even half the fuel filter was actually in the gas. So I don't like that. I wonder if that's not a problem. Let's try again and see if that makes any difference here. Alright, back to where we were. Got our choke set back on. Decompression in. Here we go. Okay. Well, that was definitely an improvement. Let's move our low jet back in. We're going to take that out, half turn, 1 turn, quarter turn, and leave that be. Take our high jet in, half turn, 1 turn, quarter turn. Okay, well, let's stay running now. Let's give this a shot. Our carburetor was definitely a problem, 100% a problem. Like I said, I've been fighting with it up until this point for sure. But our fuel level, it's our pickup tube. Our fuel pickup tube inside here is not long enough. You have to have a full tank of fuel. For now, let's put everything back together, see if we can get a tune on it, see if it'll hold a tune, see if it'll stay running. If it is, then we'll proceed further. Let's jump into that. Whenever you tighten your tension up on your chainsaw chain, it's important to hold up on the end of your bar. So sometimes I'll hold it up, or I'll just press up like that a little bit to get it tight. If you don't, what happens is as you're sawing wood, you're pressing down the bar. And that'll cause it to loosen up. So if you automatically just tighten it in that position, your tension will stay then. Go ahead and hook up get our tachometer ready. Alright, let's fire this thing back up and start tuning. Well, that is a very good primary tune-up anyway. I have to go stick it into some lumber to actually get a high-end tune on it, but low end and idle and primary right off, that seems to work really good. I'm happy with that. Well, this probably won't be the best test ever. I should really have some bigger logs, but everything's frozen to the ground here right now, and I don't feel like getting the tractor out to unfreeze everything from the ground. So this is just going to be a quick test on it, see how well we did, see if we can set our top end a little bit, and kind of go from there. So let's get it started and see if it's going to cut well. We'll start it with some choke, see if that makes any difference or if it even needs it. Yep. There we go. Well, I would call that pretty successful. I would say we got it dialed in and ready to cut some more wood. Let's head back into the shop and look things over one last time. And there it is, everybody. Can you believe it? It runs again. Our Chinese Husqvarna knockoff saw lives to see another day. Didn't think we were going to get it there for a little while, between the carburetor being all stocked up with dirt and then the fuel line being a little bit too short. It just made a bad combination all around. I'm sure you could hear in the testing there at the very end that the saw was still wanting to bog down a little bit on the top end of things. I expect that. This saw never has run very fast on the RPM ever since it's brand new. It's always been a slower RPM saw. I'm hoping with the carburetor changeover we might be able to fix that a little bit more. But I will need some better logs to be able to do some better testing. Between the 70 cc's, the 2-foot bar, the 8-inch log that I had there tonight isn't going to provide me with the data that I need. But for now, I'm happy. It runs again. Customer will be happy. At least we know the saw's not junk. It does work. Everything seems to be fine on it. The little fall from up waist high, I think, was completely coincidental, and I don't believe it really had anything to do with the problems that this thing was having. Stay tuned for some future content on this saw. I plan to go over it with more of a maintenance type program, get the chain all sharpened up and ready to go, the bar on it before we give it back to the customer, make sure that it's actually field ready for when we're ready to actually use it. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that video. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see. It really does help out the channel. Drop a comment down below. Would love to hear your thoughts on the saw and the repair that we did. If you have one of these or are thinking about getting one of these, drop a comment down below. Would love to hear from you. That's all I got for this one. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.